Today, I'm going to show you a couple of things that you can do when you want to start your seeds. Now, there's several ways that you can start seeds. I like to use some type of a seed starter, old soil from last year, old potting soil, so I'll go ahead and use that. And I actually have another bag of potting soil here as well, organic potting soil that I can use. And I'm going to show you several ways that you can get started. Now, if you've never started a garden in the past, this might be a great way to start. This is a seed starter. As you can see, it has the pods already in it. It's pretty easy to use. And so it will make a really good tool to have in the beginning. If you don't want to spend $10 to $12 purchasing something like this with the 75 pods, you can DIY it by taking a carton, an egg carton, and I like to use the kind that is made out of this material versus the styrofoam, and this can also be your base to put your seed starter in if you don't want to purchase something like this kit. But I will show you from both, and then that way we have different ways to start seeds. So the first one that I'm going to do is going to be using the greenhouse kit. So I'm going to go ahead and take it out of the container. If you've never done this before, the instructions are on the back. It's a good way for you to write down everything, the date of when you started. Typically I forget to do that, so I'm trying to remind myself by telling you today. And as you can see, I have some gloves. And inside of here is an actual lid. This is the vitamins for the seedlings inside the kit. And they even give you some little tabs so you can put whatever seeds that you want, the names of the seeds. Now, the best thing to do for this is to make sure that your water is nice and warm. So I'm gonna go ahead and start my water to get it warm first. And I'm not going to use that much force. I'm actually going to use my sprayer to add water. And what you're going to notice, and let me angle the camera so that you can see a little bit better. Waiting for this water to get a little warm, not hot, but warm water. And I'm going to add water to the base of my tray here. Just enough water for it to get on all the pods. And as you can see, I'm just making sure that every single pod gets wet. And what's going to happen over the next few minutes is that these pods are going to begin to expand. Now, the next step will be to add the seeds. Okay, so now that you saw that I separated all of my little sticks, these sticks have the names of the seeds that I want to plant. And so before I plant the seeds, so that I don't forget what I planted, I'm going to use the sticks. And so I'm going to just put the stick down inside. And I want to make sure before I get started that the sticks aren't too tall, that when I put my lid on, yep, that they'll fit. And so right now, I'm looking at pretty much this is all going to be greenery that I put in here. And if these get hard, you can always just turn on a little bit of water, sprinkle it to help loosen it up a little bit. I'm looking to just basically put in the different ones that I want, so that way I know what I actually planted. Now I'm going to select my seeds and I'm going to pull them all out so that I know exactly what it is that I want, and you'll see that in a second. Now the key is not to just put one seed in each one, but 2 up to 3 seeds in each pellet. And the reason why you do this is because, again, you want to make sure that you actually are getting some things. So initially I just lay them on top, and then you'll see after I get them on top, and I do that so I can remember where I left off. Once I get them on top, then I will actually push them inside. But I'm going to do 2 seeds in between each. Some I'll do 3, 2 to 3 seeds in each one. Not just 1, but 2 to 3. All right, and that was my Swiss charge. So I'm going to do that for all of these. Okay, so now I have all my seeds in. I'm going to use my tool to push them down inside. Make sure that the moss is on top of it and that the seeds are not on the outside. So push them all in. Once I've done that, I'm going to take my watering can and I'm ready to water them. Okay, all my seeds are inside. Now I'm going to take my watering can and I add it inside with some warm water, the vitamins, and I'm going to pour a little bit into each one. And I want to make sure you don't get inside of each. You may see some of the seeds come up, so you will want to push them back down inside. Make sure the moss is on top. Make sure I catch all the seeds that might have escaped. Okay, now I'm ready to go ahead and put my dome on. And the most important thing is to put today's date, which is the 6th. That way I remember the date that I... So in my house, I don't have a lot of window sills to be able to add all of my different things. So I'm just going to use this countertop space. But as you can see, I have these lights. They're called grow lights. And they're great for people that don't have a lot of light, or if you just want to have a dedicated space. And so the best part about these is that there is a timer on here, so I can actually have the timer that it comes on. I usually start it around 7 a.m. every day, and I usually do 12 hours of sunlight. And as you can see, I can move them up or down. And so I'm going to go ahead and set this up. And as you can see, I put my greenhouse over here. I want to make sure my lid is on well. And I see there's some air right here, so I'm actually going to tape down my lid just to make sure it's completely closed. But I'm going to get my grow lights in first. So I told you that if you don't want to buy the greenhouse, you can use a carton. For this, I'm actually going to put on gloves because I am going to dig in the soil. And for these, instead of using the potting soil, which you'll see me use in another video, I'm going to start with the seed starting mix. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up my bag. And I have a big scooper and a tiny scooper. For these, since I am putting it inside of the carton, I'm just going to do a small scoop in each tray. Again, this is for the person that says they don't want to spend the money and you want to reuse some of the things that you already have, this is a great way to do that. The DIY. So now this is ready for me to add my seed, add my water, and put the lid on and put it under my grow lights. I'm gonna do the same thing that I did with the others. I'm going to go ahead and push the seeds inside of the soil so that way they are ready for me to water them. Push the seeds down into each one. Again, this is for the person that doesn't want to purchase a seed starter kit, wants to use what you already have in your house, and if you have some egg cartons, and you can use the styrofoam ones too. I prefer to use this type of egg carton. Going to take my watering can that has my vitamins in it. Okay. So here I have some plastic wrap. I'm just going to take it, instead of using the lid, I'm going to turn the lid upside down and use it to catch any water that might drip out instead of using it as the cover. But some people use it as the cover. I like to be able to see what's growing. So I'm going to use this plastic wrap instead. I'm going to cover it with the plastic wrap. If you have cling wrap, it's even better because it will stick to the sides and give you a much better seal. But I'm just going to use tape. So I'll use tape to hold it down. And somewhere on here, I am going to write the date so that I don't forget what day that I planted these seeds. Tape each side. And then tape this side. And that's one thing about plastic wrap. It always sticks, which is why I prefer using the cling wrap or the stretchy kind of wrap that will just go right onto it, the press and seal. Okay. Okay, in this video, I am going to use reusable containers to start my seeds. And this is my preferred way. If you've watched any of the other videos, you would have seen that I bought a seed starter kit, and I also used an old egg carton for two different ways. But this way is something that I have every year. And so I keep all of these little plastic containers that I can use year after year after year instead of reinvesting. And for the items that I know that might get too large and are difficult to transfer, I have larger pots like these. But typically I don't use these pots until I'm ready to transfer them over. So I'm gonna start out with these. And with these, I will need gloves in order to move forward. In this first part of the video, you're just gonna see me add the seed soil. And so these cups come with little containers at the bottom. The lids, such as these. And so you will want to make sure that you have them in there once you get the soil, because otherwise, as you can see at the bottom, there are holes. And I typically don't even rinse them from year to year, so they're pretty dirty from last year's harvest. That's okay, because I'm gonna add more dirt. So I'm gonna take my cups, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I have 7 out right now. We'll start with these 7, and then I'm gonna do enough to fill my entire windowsill. But for right now, just gonna use these 7 for this video to get started. So go ahead, put my cups on each one. I did rinse them a little bit to get any, in case there was any yellow gunk. We don't want any roots. So if there are any roots left over, you definitely want to get those out from the year before. And so I'm going to now use my bigger scooper and start with my seed starter. And I'm also going to mix in potting soil. So I'm going to do about 1 scoop of potting soil first into my cup. And then I want my seed starter on the top. And you don't have to fill it all the way to the rim. I'm going to get close to the rim, but not necessarily all the way. Because I want to make room to be able to add my seeds. Okay? Okay, so you saw that I added potting soil on the bottom, seed starter on the top. Now I'm going to take my little scooper and mix them together inside the container. You don't have to do this, but I prefer to have the soil mixed. So I have seed starter and I have some good soil in here. So a mixture of both. Again, you don't have to do it all the way to the top, and it's best that you don't because it makes it harder to mix. Now that I have that in, I'm ready to add water, add my seeds, and place them under my grow lights. I like to store my seeds in an organizer or keep them in alphabetical order, and I store them up underneath the cabinet in a cool place. That way I have them year over year. Okay, as you can see, I have my grow lights. I have all of my containers with the, not plastic wrap, but press and seal wrap. And then I have my container that I purchased earlier. And then also the last one would be my starter kit with my egg carton. So these are 3 ways that you can start your seeds. And the last thing I'm gonna do is put dates on every single one of these pieces so that way I can remember that I started them today. And then I'll check back in about a week. Happy gardening!